this tutorial, we're going to go ahead and keep working with InDesign CC 2020, all about working with different types of objects. So this is Classroom in a Book, Chapter 4, and this is Part 2. So when we left off, we were we had just added all of these captions to our newsletter. So let's make sure that we have saved that, Control S, save, and keep going. So the next thing we're going to play with is these bleeding hearts, which are those little hearts right here. And we want to make them a little bit more visually interesting. Nope, wrong bleeding hearts. We want to put some more in. So let's go ahead and come down to our pages. Let's come down here to page 3. And we're going to add some bleeding hearts right in here. So let's go ahead and grab our links. They're telling me to do this a little bit differently. Grab that bleeding heart, and I want to go ahead and copy it. So I'm going to go edit, and it's not working. That's fun. Alright, let's go edit. Got it selected, and copy. So I'm going to go ahead and take and copy that. I would always tell you to just place another one, but we're going to practice this one as well. Let's go down to our page 3, come down here, do a Control V to paste, and let's go ahead and make sure we're overlapping the last couple lines of that paragraph. Now let's go ahead and do a Shift Control or Shift Command and make it a little bit bigger. So we're changing these entire size. Let's bring that up just a little bit more. So it's scaled about 175%-ish. So let's go to Window, come down here to Text Wrap, and open up that Text Wrap window. Go ahead and shrink my links over. Text Wrap is one I end up using all the time, so I usually end up docking it over here on the side. So let's go ahead and wrap around to Bounding Box, which is the second one in, which isn't terrible, but isn't incredibly nice looking either. So let's go ahead and wrap around the shape, which was the next one over. But you're going to see it doesn't actually do something. So we want to change it a little bit. Let's go ahead and do right side in the Wrap To menu. So we want to wrap around the right. And down here we want to detect the edges. So it's going to go ahead and determine what the edge of that is. But now it's a little bit too close, so let's play with that padding just a little bit, that inset spacing, and bump that up to 0.125. So now we've got a very much more interesting looking image. We've got a gentle text wrap here, which is exactly what we want. So let's go ahead and click out. You can go ahead, do a view in your preview mode, kind of see what it looks like without all the extra stuff on it. Let's go ahead and go back into our normal mode, do a Control S, and save what we have so far. So we're going to go ahead and change some of these other shapes. Let's go into our Layers panel and unlock that background layer and select that background layer. So we want to go ahead and make this look a little bit different, this planting your garden section. So let's kind of look, see what we've got planting your garden down here. So we're going to create this white section. So in order to do that, we could put a white box over top, but that's not quite what we're going to do this time. Let's go ahead and grab a rectangle tool. So I'm going to come down here to my rectangle. And I want to go ahead and draw a frame around the story. So let's go ahead and kind of cut a little bit above. Let's meet here and come down to the corner. Alright, so right now I have my frame around there. So next thing we're going to do is we want to actually cut part of that frame out. So let's go ahead and switch the selection tool. We want to hold the Shift key and grab that lavender shape at the same time. So now I've got my frame and my lavender shape. And now we've got them both selected. Let's go to Window, let's come down here to Object and Layout, and the one called Pathfinder. And from Pathfinder, we want to subtract. We want to be able to take that section out. So that's the second one over. So you hold over, it'll say subtract, and it's going to take that one section out. So it's basically like cutting it off. So we're happy now. Let's go ahead and close our Pathfinder and relock our background. So that is one easy way. Remember, we're trying to have fewer rather than more items as we go along. So let's go ahead and do a Control S and save. Let's go ahead and play with this element back here with the ladybug and the compound shape. So let's go ahead and select our grab our ladybug photo. And we want to make sure we grab that black shape as well. So we're going to hit Shift and hit the flower as well. So now we have them both selected. Alright, so now we're going to try and make that a shape. So we're going to go to Object. We're going to come down here to Paths. And we're going to do Make Compound Path. And now we've cut it, basically cut it out, and we've revealed some text that was already behind there. So now if we want to change it, let's go ahead and grab that Direct Selection tool, the second one down, and we can edit, deselect all, down here in the middle. So now we want to go ahead and be able to change this shape. So if I go ahead and hit Alt, undo. Alright, let's go ahead, Control zoom in on that shape. We want to grab the shape of the flower, and you can see we can change the shape of that flower individually, those little bits. Now we can nudge it. Oh, wrong one. I grabbed the wrong one. Control Z, deselect all. I'm going to select just my frame here. And I've grabbed a point, which I don't want to do. Oh, I want to hold Alt as I do it. There we go. Okay, direct selection. I promise this worked once. It's choosing both of them, and I don't know why it's choosing both. Oh, goodness. I'm changing the shape pretty well. You should be able to move the cutout without having to move the whole frame. And today is not going to be the day that I can get that to work. So for right now, I'm saying skip it. Alright, let's do a Control S, and I will go back and play with it another time. Alright, let's go ahead and convert some shapes. So let's go ahead and go into our Layers panel. And we want to grab our Graphics layer. So we know make sure we're working on that Graphics layer. Let's go ahead and go over to Pages. Let's come down here to the bottom of page 3 and do a Control minus, zoom out a little bit. We're going to play with adding some shapes right here to this element. So let's go ahead and grab the Rectangle tool. And we're going to go ahead and draw a square. Right over here, it's about 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. If you don't get it totally perfect, you can always change it right here at the top. 0.5 by 0.5. Hit Tab, and it'll change it. Alright, so now let's go ahead and in the Swatches panel, let's grab our swatches. So Window, Color, Swatches. Let's go ahead and make it so the fill color is none. And then let's choose paper white. Paper white is not one of my choices. That's fun. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and choose paper white. Alright, so now, what if I decide I don't like squares? I can actually go Object, come down here to Convert, Shape, right here, and I want to go ahead and tell it to be an ellipse instead. So it's automatically going to turn that square into a circle for me, which is awesome. So now what if I want a whole bunch of circles? I don't want to really have to mess with copying and pasting 10 jillion times. So let's go ahead and go to Edit. Come down here to Step and Repeat. And for offset, we want our count to be 12. We want our vertical offset to be 0. Now let's do this first. 0. Then 0.625, and now make our 12. Okay, so now I have 12 of those, and let's say OK. I'm going to go ahead and close my swatches. So that's a lot of nice circles, but maybe that's too many circles. Let's go ahead and grab our selection tool, select out, and delete a couple of those circles. So let's grab this third one, delete it, and let's go ahead and grab this one over here. So we want to make sure we get rid of some of those extra circles. But now we have some weird spacing, so we can actually let the software align and distribute these items for us. So let's go ahead and drag a selection across all of these. So we select them all. And let's go to Window. Let's come down to Object and grab the Align file folder or panel. I'm going to go ahead and dock it so we can see it a little bit easier. And we want to grab the distribute horizontal centers. So here's Align, here's Distribute. If you hover over, that's vertical centers. So let's go to this one, horizontal centers. So it's going to go ahead and make those even, which is exactly what we want. Now if you wanted to, we could convert those to another shape. Let's go ahead and try that. So let's go to our properties, go Window, and open up Properties. And we have this other items here. So we've got Align. If you click here, you can see we've got Quick Actions. Under our Quick Actions, we should have one called Convert Shape. And we could go ahead and make those triangles instead. So there's lots of easy ways to change your designs without having to go through and redo everything. All right, let's go ahead and click on the pasteboard to deselect, do a Control S, and save what we have so far. All right, so let's go ahead and go to our page here, the first page, which is page 1, and select this box, the blue box, and let's give it kind of a rounded handle. So let's go ahead, go to our Layers panel, and make sure that we unlock our text layer, working in our text. And let's go ahead, click on here, and you see we get this, I'm going to scroll in so you can see. We get a small yellow right here, which is going to allow us to resize that. So with our selection tool, we're going to go ahead and pull it. Nope. Double click it. Nope, we're not. Okay, we're going to click the small yellow square. Okay, we're going to get 4 diamonds. All right, now we're going to go ahead and drag the diamond. So by dragging the diamond, we're actually creating a rounded corner. So that's That's much nicer looking. We're happy with that. So let's go ahead and do a Control S and save what we have so far. Edit, deselect all. And so now we have a rounded corner. So now what happens if we want to change another item? So remember a while ago we put that logo on upside down underneath the return address. So it's on page 4 and I've got this logo down here. So let's go ahead and grab that selection tool, and I have the option to go right outside. I can use my rotate and flip it completely over. So that will go ahead and turn that over for me. There's also another way to do it. So let's do Control Z. Let's go ahead and go to our properties panel. We want to go ahead and choose center point right here. So we want to move it from the center. And under more options on transform, if you don't have them, hit those little right there, the more options, fewer options. And in our rotation, if you go here, rotation angle, we want to change it to 180. So we want to completely flip it over. So let's go ahead, use that grabber and use our arrow keys to nudge it down, kind of put it in place a little bit better. All right, let's do a Control S and save what we have. So let's look at our calla lily right here. Maybe we want to go ahead and change that calla lily. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that calla lily. I'm going to look at my layers, make sure that I'm on my graphics layer. I can actually do something with it. I'm going to do Control plus to kind of zoom in a little bit. Space bar, grab my hand. All right, so now what I can do is move the calla lily inside this frame itself. So I don't know why everything's selected. All right, just the calla lily. So let's go ahead and go into our calla lily. We want to click within the content grabber, and that will allow us just to grab the content and change the content within that box itself. So I didn't have to change the whole box, which is perfect. So now it doesn't quite fit right. So we want to actually play with the proportion a little bit. So let's go to our reference locator. We've got our transform. We've got our center point. And under our X and Y right over here, let's go ahead and make this 100%. And if we do tab, it should give them both 100%, and it's going to change that for us. And it's not fitting my box quite right, so let's leave it at 100. Click back out, click in. Let's grab the content grabber, slide it a little bit within that box itself. So you can work with different individual items, make them look a little bit better. So do a Control S and save what we have. All right, so now let's go ahead and take a peek at page number 2. We haven't messed with page 2 at all, so let's do Control minus, or we can do a view, fit, spread in window, so we can see both pages. Let's go ahead and just do view page in window. So we've all these extra items over here that we need to get aligned and moved over. So let's go ahead and grab the selection tool, and let's grab the logo and do shift and grab that partial class calendar. Let's go to our align panel. It should be window object layout align if you closed it. In the align panel, we want to go ahead and do choose align to, and we want to align it to the actual page itself. Then we want to go ahead and do align horizontal center. So here's align. That's horizontal centers, and it's going to go ahead and center both of those items in the page for us, which is exactly what we want. All right, let's click out on our pasteboard so we can deselect those. All right, next thing we're going to do is we need to play with these graphics. So let's grab our selection tool and let's do it differently. Let's hold shift. Let's grab our tomato here, and then let's grab shift and draw a selection box around just those extra boxes on the side. That way we don't accidentally grab anything else that's possibly on that layer. So we want to go ahead and create a key object. So we want to click on this red tomato, and that's going to be our key object, which means we want to use this as what we are aligning to. So let's go ahead on our Align panel. We want to go to Align the right edges, so Align Objects, Right Edges, and notice that it now just automatically aligned all those to the right. We didn't have to do any guesswork. We didn't have to do any of the other work at all, which is awesome. So let's go ahead and do check out, do Control S and save. Let's Control plus, and we can see that two of these are a different size. This tomato and this tomato, or this pot, are a different size. So let's go ahead, click one, let's shift click, grab the other one. And let's go ahead and, because we have them both selected, we can scale them both. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull that corner. And that didn't work, it looks weird. Let's do undo. I'm going to hold shift and drag, and I'll keep my proportions. So now it's not quite the way we want it to be. Let's go ahead and click out, grab that other pot, and move it up just a little bit. Alrighty. So I'm going to do Control minus, zoom out, and I'm pretty happy with the way that we've got those so far. So let's go ahead, and we now need to add, let's go to our end one. We want to add these elements right here, these 5 elements across the top. Alright, so in order to do that, we're going to click and drag. So we're going to grab our selection tool, hit our trowel. We're going to hit Alt, and we're going to drag it up over here. So we've got a copy. So let's go ahead, and now we need to grab the others as well. So let's grab a tomato, Alt, grab, move it up here, pot, Alt, grab, trees. I'm not worried too much about how they're aligned at this point, and my sun. And because I didn't do Alt, I grabbed the sun instead. So make sure we do Alt, grab. Alright, so now I've got my sun. So let's kind of look at our end one. They're kind of spread out across. So we're going to have to go ahead and work on part of that. So we've got it moved kind of here to the edge, here to the edge. Let's go ahead and drag select all 5 of those. Now we want to align to, we want to do selection, not to the page. Otherwise we're going to end up with weird things happening, which we don't necessarily want. So we want to go ahead and do distribute horizontal centers. So we've got distribute. That's vertical center. So we want horizontal centers. It's going to spread them out nice and evenly for us. Alright, so edit and deselect all. So now we don't have anything selected. And let's go ahead and set the reference point to center. So let's go ahead and select the trowel. We want to make sure we're working from the center. And let's go ahead and scale it to 125 degrees. So instead of 100%, we want 125. We're going to make it bigger. And tab. And let's go ahead and make that angle 30 degrees. And hit tab. This is going to move that over. So now I want those others to be the same. I could go through and do them one at a time, or I can select all of them. And then I can go to Object and go Transform again. And I want them to do it each individually. So it's going to go ahead and change all of those for us all at once. So maybe you decide your logos are too small, you want to change something. It is possible to automate that process. So now I'm going to go ahead, select them all, and let's just nudge them a little bit with our arrow keys. Go on your pasteboard, select, deselect, and save. Alright, now if we look at our logo here at the top, and let's scroll in, our logo is not quite the way we want it to be. So let's grab our selection tool, And this is actually made up of several different pieces. So let's go ahead, and we want to do the Select Content tool. There are these funny looking flowchart ones here at the top. And that will allow us to play with different elements within this object itself without having to ungroup it. So if I go to the one over Next Object, it's going to go ahead and choose that leaf for me. So I'm going to go ahead and say I don't like the way that that leaf is purple. So I'm going to come over to my fill. And on my fill, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. I want that first tree to be, or the first part of the leaf to be bright green medium. Alright, so next I want to grab my next object. It's going to be that next part of the purple leaf, and let's make that just green medium. So I've got that. I'm going to hit my next object, which is just that one part of the leaf. I'm happy with that one. Let's go ahead and go to this other purple part and grab, how about that brightest green again. Alright, so that allows you to change elements within your thing without having to go through and do a lot of work. So let's do Control S and save. Let's click out. Let's do a Control minus and zoom out. We're going to play with putting, the next part is putting this type on a path. So type on a path allows us to create a little bit of a different look and feel. So I'm going to go ahead, Shift select these two elements and move them out of the way for now. And let's go ahead and grab these black lines. So I'm going to grab the selection tool. This is a path. So this is going to tell us where we want to put that element. And let's grab this other path. So it's the other part of our title. And we can move these around. Alright, so you can make them connect. They are two different paths. So let's go ahead with our type tool and grab that partial class calendar words and do a Control C to copy. Alright, we then want to grab our type tool and we want type on a path, and we're going to get kind of a curved cursor. See, it's kind of a wavy line. And I'm going to go above this path. See how it gets the little plus sign. And then I'm going to click. And no, I'm not going to click. I'm just do Control V. No, I am going to click. Control V to paste it. I'm going to try and paste it. Undo. Control Z. Alright, let's grab this again. Alright, I'm going to copy it one more time just in case. Okay, so I've got this. I'm going to copy it, Control C, Control plus, so I can zoom in, undo. Okay, I'm going to go to my type on a path. It's going to turn into a plus sign. Maybe it's going to turn into a plus sign. That's going to be fun today, isn't it? Alright. Type tool. Copying that again. Copy. Selection tool. Over here, scoot over a little bit. Grab my type on a path. Alright, should be over this path, should be able to get a little plus sign showing up. Oh, it's going to be this one today, isn't it? Alright, that's fine. us again. Not sure why this is not working. Alright, let's see what layer these are on. Okay, these are on the graphics layer. Alright, so we're on the graphics layer. Let's try that again. Edit, deselect all. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and pause this